Now we will come back with the fourth video on ecology and chapter Organisms and Population. We have just continued the Organisms and Population chapter. Here it is an environmental factor. That means or structural and functional component of environment. Functional component of environment. Students, you already know that there are two important structural and functional component. One is abiotic, which interact with biotic. These are all non-living, all living. So all non-livings are also known as biotope. Now we have discussed these are the amount of these abiotic substances, that's and biotic substances in particular unit of environment or ecosystem. They are categorized as a standing state or standing crop, but I discuss in later on. Here it is a discuss about the different component of abiotic component, which are non-living components with the structural and functional component of environment. These all non-living substances are categorized into some are climatic factor, or physical factor, some are topographical factor, some are edaphic factor, some are chemical factor. So climatic factor, which the factors which maintains the climate, which are responsible for the climate, or physical factor also. These are sunlight, temperature, rainfall, humidity, pressure. There are so many other factors also, but these are the most important physical factor or climatic factor. Individually we discuss what the importance in living systems and how environments are constructed by these the very important functions or functional role to interaction in the environment or ecological interaction. So topographical, what it is? The topography in the situation of the earth surface. That means there are some earth surface are high altitudes and some are low altitudes, or the high altitude position or latitudinal position. Some higher land, there is a mountain peak, whereas lowland area where the positions or the nature of the living organisms is something different. So that's are also maintain the environmental, act as an environmental factor and maintains the life, or they are effective factor for life. Edaphic is a nature and composition of soil. Is another important factor, which is soils is directly connected with the living organisms. You know, in the whole of the agricultural product that are depend on the soil, or all the plants, they are present in a particular soil. On the basis of their soil, their nature, their characteristics, their morphology, all are specific. So that's why it is also important factor, edaphic chemical. These are two types. One you already know, inorganic substances, another is organic. These are most important factor for abiotic, or collectively called as abiotic. Whereas we talk about the biotic, biotic factor. This biotic component, on the basis of their structure, structural biotic, and there is functional. Structural biotic in the sense they are some are producer, they are related with the productions or the consumptions of the energy, and they supply to the energy to the other living organisms. So those living organisms can transform the radiant energy into biological form of energy through photosynthesis. That's are called producer. So they are collectively called as producer. Example, all green plants, BGA. So that means those having the capacity to synthesize their own food, they are called autotrophs. But here it is a producer in the sense the non-biological form of energy can transform into biological form of energy, or wherever radiant energy are transformed into chemical or potential food energy called as producer. Those living organisms are involved in this process. Some are consumer. Consumers, they can consume whatever the autotrophs or the producer supply the energy as a form of food that can consume directly or indirectly. On the basis of their direct consumption and indirect consumption, they are categorized as a primary consumer, secondary consumer, top consumer. Why not tertiary? I explain in the ecosystem, but top consumer. The flow of energy only can possible up to the 4 to 5 level. So primary in the sense which are directly involved to the producer. They directly consume the food or energy from producer. They are called primary. Secondary, those are indirectly depend on producer but directly depend on primary. They are called secondary consumer. Top consumer, those are directly depend on secondary but indirectly depend on producer. They are called top consumer. Third one is decomposer. They are also called as transformer, or they transform the organic to inorganic. They are called decompose. Process is called decomposition, and they are collectively called as decomposers. So the minerals can be recycled in a self-sustaining automatic system. That is possible due to the involvement of this decomposer, the most important living factor or biotic factor. The decomposer, which can decompose the organic body, organic substances into inorganic for further utilization or mineral cycling. So decomposer, which can decompose it. So all the fungi, those are saprophytes, bacteria, algae, some algae, they are collectively called as decomposer. So these are the important component of structurally, they provide the structure of any environmental unit or ecosystem also, and collectively called as biotic factor, structural biotic factor. Now functional biotic factor. On the basis of their activity, the functional activity, that's the producer, some are autotrophs. Those can synthesize their food by their own self process. They are called autotrophs. Example, all photosynthetically active living organisms. Active living. Heterotrophs. Those are directly dependent on the autotrophs or indirectly dependent on the autotrophs. That means hetero means other than. Autotrophs are called heterotrophs. Now these heterotrophs can be categorized into different forms. Some are herbivores or plant feeder. Some are carnivores. Those are canines having canine teeth. They are flesh or meat, or that's they are the animals which having the strong canine. They depend on herbivores. That means they are